Hello, my name's John Ingram and I am an Education Officer at Energy Safe Victoria. I'm here to talk to you about the apprenticeship supervision requirements which have changed. The QR code on the screen will take you to the new requirements and changes that we've made. I'll explain why the changes are being made in this presentation and describe specific changes that will be implemented. The new and changed supervision requirements, which came into effect as on the 1st of September, were developed following extensive consultation with industry and the public last year. The current requirements stay into effect until that time, so now we are in that time where the new requirements are in effect. I will be mentioning the supervision levels, which are direct, general and broad. These supervision levels are in the existing requirements prior to the 1st of September, so they're not new. So I hope that they are something that you understand. The definitions have been updated and clarified. The main changes concern the supervision ratios, levels of supervision for specific work types, and importantly, it is now a requirement that employers must give apprentice supervisors a physical or digital copy of the requirements. So why is the change necessary? Back around 2015-2016, there were 3 apprentice fatalities, which led to the apprentice supervision guidelines being developed. Following other safety incidences involving apprentices around 2017 and 2018, the Electricity Safety General Regulations were updated in 2019 to bring the supervision requirements into law and place responsibilities for supervision on both employers and supervisors. Since the regulations were changed in 2019, there's been 2 more apprentice fatalities and other instances resulting in serious injuries to apprentices, as well as several near misses. In addition, the Victorian Government Apprenticeship Task Force final report published last year highlights serious issues with apprenticeships in general, including fatalities, injuries, low completion rates, workplace concerns such as bullying, harassment, and unsafe conditions across all apprenticeships. The task force findings align with Energy Safe's own experience in addressing electrical apprentice safety concerns, reinforcing the need for a clear and enforceable supervision framework. The changes will also better align us with other jurisdictions around Australia, in particular New South Wales. In summary, there were several reasons for the changes, with the first and most important thing being the safety of apprentices. They are the most vulnerable of all of us in our trade. So let's look at some of the data that also informed the changes. We hosted an online survey regarding apprentice supervision, with 90% of survey respondents being the apprentices themselves. 85% of respondents supported the changes that we proposed. To quote some of the responses we received, "I've seen apprentices working live without supervision. In some cases, I've seen 1 electrician to 8 to 10 apprentices. My company's business model is all about using apprentices for cheap labour. Too many apprentices can lead to no one getting the correct training at all." So we've made many of the changes based on what we have heard from the apprentices themselves, as their safety is our priority. Let's look at the completion and attrition rates of apprentices. Roughly 40% of apprentice electricians who commence an apprenticeship drop out during their apprenticeship term. The highest rate of this drop-off occurs in the first year. There are many reasons for this, but their experience on the job is definitely one of the factors, with apprentices reporting that they feel unsupported and unsafe. In addition to the dropouts during their apprenticeship, there are issues with them getting their A grade when they reach the end of their apprenticeship. Of those who get to the end of their 4 years, 20% of apprentices are finishing their time with an incomplete trade qualification. A further 20% are fully completing their apprenticeships, but are not obtaining their A grade licence within 3 months of finishing, mainly because they have not passed all their A grade licensing exams. This demonstrates that approximately 40% of the apprentice cohort, which is around 800 to 900 apprentices per year, are not obtaining their A-grade electrical licence after completing a 4-year apprenticeship. Our research showed that ineffective supervision of apprentices was one of the biggest barriers to apprentice licensing. Apprentices require effective on-the-job supervision and learning during their apprenticeship to help them successfully complete their A-grade licensing exams. So we're asking supervisors of apprentices to ask the apprentice, how are you going at trade school? How are you going in the licensing exam? Have you got your license yet? Those questions need to be asked as a supervisor. WorkSafe provided data to the Victorian Apprenticeship Task Force, but they also provided the data to Energy Safe specifically for electrical apprentices. So this is that data you're seeing there on the screen. And it shows that the number of claims submitted by apprentice electricians over the same period, you can see that this is on the rise. Things aren't getting better, they're getting worse. The other things we considered were, are there enough A grades to act as supervisors for the change ratios? 77% of employers of electrician apprentices employ only one first-year apprentice, which is the main group affected by the changes that we've made to the supervision requirements. Those employers who employ more than one first-year apprentice are generally bigger companies who employ a large number of A grades. Energy Safe acknowledges that not every licensed electrician can act as a supervisor and that the circumstances in each business are different. However, Energy Safe believes there is sufficient capacity across the industry to support the provision of one-to-one direct supervision for first-year apprentices. So let's look at the requirements, and this table comes directly from the requirements. It is listed as table 2 in the requirements document. This is your quick reference guide to the type of work, the year level of the apprentice, and what the minimum level of supervision is for them. In terms of direct supervision, we have introduced a need for direct supervision to be visual when the apprentice is completing high-risk tasks. These are marked with an asterisk on the table and include isolation, testing, commissioning, and fault finding. Basically, anywhere where the apprentice may be working in the vicinity of live parts. The direct supervision can be within audible range for all other tasks. This ensures that the requirements are practical to apply to common work tasks. While the requirements for direct supervision have been tightened, we have loosened up the requirements at the broad and general levels. Now, the point we have to make also is these requirements only apply to what is deemed as electrical installation work. So if the apprentice is cutting out plaster, these requirements do not apply. WorkSafe requirements would apply. If the apprentice is digging a trench for conduit, that is not electrical installation work. So you have to think a bit laterally about what is electrical installation work, and therefore this is what the requirements apply to. The most significant change is that of direct supervision and that it now requires a 1-to-1 ratio. We've also now provided ratios for general and broad supervision and provide combinations of ratios as this was requested by the trade. These combination ratios should offset many of the issues associated with providing direct supervision when the employer has more than one apprentice. And remember, the supervision requirements only apply whilst carrying out electrical installation work. There are many other tasks, as I said earlier, that can be carried out for which these requirements do not apply. So let's go through some more examples. So let's say we've got two apprentices, a first year and a third year, working with one A grade. The supervisor can provide direct supervision to the first year, while the third year is working under general supervision or broad supervision. But let's say they are at a job and the A grade supervisor wants the third year to carry out an isolation procedure. And the third year will need direct supervision for this. The supervisor cannot provide direct supervision to both the third year and the first year at the same time. But the first year can be doing other tasks that are not classed as electrical installation work, while the A grade is supervising the isolation procedure with the third year apprentice. The first year could be unloading the van, setting up equipment, getting ready for the day, digging that trench for the conduit, cutting out plaster, as I said earlier. They could also be assisting with the isolation process. For example, they could be at the switchboard, flicking the circuit breakers. Especially useful if the switchboard is a fair distance away. They could also be assisting with the isolation process in a observation side of things, teaching them about the isolation process and learning about it. Apprentices are the future of our industry. They are also the most vulnerable set of workers in our industry. The changes to the requirements will ensure their safety. If you have any questions about the requirements, you can contact Energy Safe Victoria, speak to one of the education team, and we'll explain them further. Thank you for your time.